Welcome to Business Recharged Podcast with your host, the Queen of Content and CEO of the Mac Institute, Dr. Felicia Mack.
Welcome back to Business Recharged Podcast. I am your host, Felicia, and I'm really excited about this episode. We are diving into part 2 of how to recharge your mental capacity, the ultimate pivot into productivity. Let me tell you that part 1 was absolutely amazing. We talked a lot about mindset, right? About how to shift your mental capacity to really make sure that you have the ultimate productivity. So today what I want to do is I want to dive into that a little bit more, but even more specifically surrounding self-care. I think that self-care and having mental capacity to be productive really goes hand in hand. And so if that sounds like something that you are interested in, then definitely keep on listening. And I want to thank you guys so much for all of your support for our Business Recharged podcast. Thank you for your DMs, for your messages, just for really showing love. I really appreciate that. If you haven't done so, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to our podcast so that you never miss a weekly episode. And let's dive in. So when we're thinking about our mindset and when we're really thinking about self-care, I think that most people, they think about self-care from a perspective of, oh, I'm going to get a manicure, or I'm getting a pedicure, or, I'm pampering myself. But we oftentimes don't think about self-care beyond that. I have found that while I am the first person in line for the pedicure and all of that jazz, I have found that really focusing on self-care from a more holistic perspective has been very beneficial. So you may be saying, well, what do you actually do to focus in on that? One of the greatest things that you can do from a self-care perspective is to really make sure that you are putting your health and wellness first. Now, when I talk about health and wellness, I'm not talking just about your overall, oh, I went to the gym, all of that jazz. But I mean, are you really prioritizing your health and wellness? Are you resting? Are you feeding your body good food that's going to fuel your mind, your body, and your soul? Are you allowing yourself time to relax and to unplug? We talk about unplugging from social media, but are you really allowing yourself that? I was watching something the other night on TV, and this actress, actually a young actress, I cannot remember her name, but she was talking about how she has a flip phone. And she was like, oh yeah, anytime I'm on set and I'm working on a movie, I have a flip phone. And so she said she does that because she's able to not look at social media, see what people are, saying that may be negative, and just feed her mind that energy. So she's really more, she's able to focus a little bit more. And I thought that was like, wow, that's really, amazing that at a very young age, she must have been definitely younger than 18, 19, for her to be thinking like that. But it's so important. And so we don't realize all of the information that we're consuming on a day-to-day basis. We really don't realize how that affects us just mentally, and how it can weigh heavily on us as well. So I think mental health is a part of self-care. So really protecting that is important. The second thing I think that is just as important is to protect your peace. Now, what does this mean? This is a big one, even for myself. If you have negative people, if you have negative energy, any of that around you, I would recommend highly right now, today, at this moment that you're listening to my voice, that you focus on getting rid of it. There's so much energy that goes into maintaining negative relationships. There's so much energy that goes into really maintaining things that just don't serve you right anymore. And I think that the more that we focus in on how we are able to pivot and to protect our peace, the more productive that we're going to be, because you're going to find that you're no longer focusing in on that thing that may be dragging you down, but you're focusing in on something that may be uplifting to you, thus making you want to do more. I think another part of self-care that is so important is to look your best. You know, a lot of times people say, why are you all dressed up? Like, where are you going? I could just be going to the grocery store, but I'm definitely going to make sure that I have myself put together. And why is that? Because when you look good, you feel good, right? And when you feel good, you want to do more. You want to be more involved. You want to be more, quote unquote, on the scene. You want to be more productive, right? And so I'm not saying that you have to have designer this and designer that, but I'm just saying take a moment and just take a quick look in the mirror before you leave the house and make sure that you're put together. I think all of those things really play a key component into overall your self-care and how you are ultimately able to pivot into a higher level of productivity. Now, if you haven't followed me for a while, you know that I have my own planner that I use religiously, and that I am a planner geek. Everything that I do is in my planner. If it's not in my planner, it doesn't get done, period, right? So I will say that, you know, a part of prioritizing your self-care is to create a list and make sure that you are actually scheduling it into your day, right? So think about the different themes in your life. Think about how you want to relax more. Think about how you want to maybe prioritize your health and wellness more. Think about how you want to prioritize how you look, how you're showing up in the world more, but really focus in on like themes surrounding your life and focus on prioritizing your overall self-care based upon those themes. If you feel like, oh, self-care for you is is tied into you keeping a tidy car or a tidy home, focus on those areas as well. You know, productivity is holistic, right? It really focuses in on our entire life. It's not just like we can just do one area of our life and then leave everything else to chance. No, you have to really focus in on everything. And I think that's a part of the challenge, because we have real life, right? We have real things going on, and sometimes certain things in our lives take a backseat. But I'm just here to encourage you to move at least a couple of those back to the top of your list. So that is that, guys. Hopefully this helped you. Hopefully you're able to get recharged and you're able to ultimately create that pivot into productivity. Now, next week, we are going to dive even deeper on this topic. And I'm going to be sharing with you guys kind of step by step how I actually plan and how a couple of different hacks have honestly transformed and changed my life. So you definitely want to tune in next week. Listen, I want to thank you again for listening. Make sure that if you haven't done so, we also have a paid subscription to our podcast where you get behind the scenes, you get additional episodes, you get additional access to VIP calls and a lot more cool stuff. So if you have not checked that out, make sure that you go ahead and you check it out as well. Make sure you subscribe, leave us a review. That helps us out so much, guys. So we appreciate your reviews. I want to thank you guys for listening to Business Recharge Podcast with myself, Dr. Felicia, and I look forward to seeing you guys same place, same time next week.